Hey traders, Chris Drysdale. Hope everybody's doing great this weekend. I've been getting a lot of questions. I just started a Discord, and a bunch of people have been coming over from X and asking a lot of questions about my trading style. I've been doing a lot of trade analysis and posting my trades and my trade ideas. So I've just been getting a lot of questions. So I thought I'd put together a video on my strategy and just it would be a lot easier for me to direct people to the video so they can learn what I'm doing here and kind of gain a little insight into the strategy. This is going to be pretty top level. I'm not going to go into extreme detail. It's going to be enough so you understand the basic tenets of the strategy. And as I post more trade analysis, I think you'll understand what I'm doing. Eventually, there will be more in-depth videos and probably a course and things of that nature. But for now, I think this is enough to get us started, and everything is going to be free. So the Discord is free. I post a lot on Twitter, and then the YouTube and all this stuff is going to be public. So to get started here, just a quick background on me. If you don't know me or haven't been following me, I got my start in small caps, equities, U.S. equities a couple of years ago. I was mostly a short seller, and I shorted small caps that were making huge intraday moves. I had a ton of success in 2022. I had verified profits. I was working with a trading group back then who, hired accountants to verify my profits. And I made $250,000 in just a couple of months. I had $100,000 month. I had almost 100 consecutive winning trades in a row, and it was just super impressive run. But what happened in October of 2022 is the market significantly changed, and the strategy just was not working as effectively. So I started looking into different markets. I also spent $70,000 in locate fees to short these small caps back in 2022, and I was like, there had to be a better way. I learned a ton in trading, and I felt like I want to take what I had learned and my skills and apply them to different markets. So here we are. I switched to futures earlier this year, and it's been a hell of a journey. And basically my strategy is a culmination of hundreds, if not thousands of hours at this point of work, 16-hour days just learning and practicing and back testing and forward testing and reading and watching videos, just everything I can get my hands on, this unquenchable thirst for knowledge, which I know a lot of us have. And this is kind of where I'm at today. It's been really consistent and profitable, and I'm going to present it here to you guys today. So basically, it is trading the futures markets, and I trade multiple markets. I don't just focus on one product like the S&P or the NASDAQ. It's my belief that it is more difficult to trade just one symbol. I think it's more important to learn a trading style and a specific setup and get intimate familiarity with that setup. And to do so, you need to scan multiple markets to get more reps in, more opportunities to trade that setup. Because if you only have one setup and you trade one symbol, you may not see that setup in that symbol that day, or you might only get one setup. So how many reps are you really getting in, and then, do you miss it if you're not sitting there at the screen all day waiting for it, So what I've learned in working with some great mentors is that the greatest opportunity is in scanning multiple markets. I'm watching usually at least 12 markets. Up here I have oil, natural gas, gasoline, gold, hogs, soybean, the S&P, Dow, NASDAQ, Russell. I trade other ones as well. Corn. I also like the treasuries, but we're going to just simplify this for now. So basically, I only use VWAP and a VWAP channel. This is a value-based strategy. So using a VWAP and a one standard deviation band. So you'll see this on both these charts, and I'll break down in detail which each of these charts is. But the purple line in both these charts is VWAP, and the upper band is value area high, and the lower band is value area low. These are also called one standard deviation bands. So when you're setting this up in TradingView, and it's under indicators. The one we're using is volume weighted average price. You click on that, and then you're just going to add one standard deviation band for the time frame. So we call this green area value. This is the upper value area high, value area low, and VWAP, or a point of control, which is also known on the market profile. And I use strictly this to gauge my trades. Okay. So to go into a little more detail, what you're looking at in each chart, I usually have, this is where it's not where I scan markets. Where I scan markets is going to be on this computer here, these 4 screens. And basically what I'm looking for is, let me pull this up here. So that's what I'm looking at on, actually, there we go. So each market, the top right, top left, bottom right, each is a different market. This is oil, natural gas, heating oil, and gold. The big blue area is what I just showed you on TradingView. This is the VWAP value, one standard deviation, and then these further bands are 2 and 3 standard deviations. Now, I don't want to get too complicated on this, but when I'm scanning markets, I'm also looking at an initial balance. The initial balance is the first hour of trading on the session, and then the initial balance high and initial balance low for the rest of the session. I don't short above initial balance. I don't go long below initial balance, low. Okay. Now the energy markets are, and metals start at 9 a.m. So from 9 to 10, we're taking the high and the low, and that's our initial balance, right? I'm not going to get into that too much. It's a trading level I use. We're going to strictly focus on VWAP today. But to get started, when I'm scanning markets, this is the chart I'm looking at. This is at a quick glance, gives me an idea of where we're at with price, where we're at in terms of value on the day, and a setup. So I'm looking for my setups on these. I have 4 to 6 on each screen every day on 3 screens. So that's 12 to 18 markets I'm watching. Okay. Once I see a potential trade idea, so for example, actually, let me pull that up again. Once I see a potential trade idea, so for example, we're getting up to the, I'm watching heating oil, and what I see potentially, actually, let's talk about oil. At 10:30, we're looking to regain initial balance low, re-enter value, and break into lower value. Okay. Once I see this on the scanning chart, that's when I go over to TradingView and I get dialed in. Okay. So this is my charting. Once I see a potential setup on the scans, watching all the markets, I see something that's interesting to me, then I dive over to TradingView to take this to the next level. Okay. A couple of principles I operate by. And before I get into that, let me describe what's on each chart. So the left chart is a 15-minute time frame, 15 minutes. So each candle is 15 minutes. And this is a weekly VWAP. So the VWAP is set to the open of the futures market for the week, which is 6 p.m. on Sunday evening. Okay, so the VWAP starts there and it runs all week. This is the weekly VWAP. Okay, this is my higher time frame lens. Okay, where I want to see where price is in the macro perspective on the week. Okay, you can set a weekly VWAP when you set up the VWAP indicator, anchor period week. Okay, so that's simple. Also, there's a bunch of different types of VWAPs. I like the OHLC4. It's the most amount of data. Shout out to Brian Shannon on that one. Anchor VWAP master. And then we have the one standard deviation bands multiplier. Okay, so this is a weekly VWAP, one standard deviation band on the 15-minute time frame. Okay. On the right side, we have a 3-minute time frame and a session VWAP. So this starts at the daily session, which is 6 p.m. Eastern time every day, Sunday through Friday. Okay, it starts at the beginning of the session in the evening, starting Sunday night. Okay, this is a default setting, I believe, on VWAP. So session is the anchor period. Again, OHLC and the band multiplier of 1. Okay? And that, for the most part, we just have normal volume down here in a separate pane. This blue line is 100 EMA, just so I can see high volume versus lower volume. And that is really it. Once I'm over to this chart, trying to gauge my setup, that's all I'm looking at. Okay? A couple of principles, guiding principles we're going to follow in terms of value. Okay? If we are breaking into value area low, okay, and holding prices in value, I expect price to go to VWAP. Okay? If we rejected VWAP, we can't get past it, I expect price to go back to value area low. Okay? But if we break into value area low, we reach the point of control, VWAP, can't get past it, but now we do break into it, I expect to go to value area high. If we can't get best value area high, I expect us to retreat back to VWAP. So these are the essential channels I'm looking at in balance. Okay, these are the support and resistance levels. If we break out of value, this is price discovery. We do not go long down here. This is shorts only, price discovery to the downside. Okay. If we break above value area high, this is price discovery to the upside. No shorts whatsoever, only longs in price discovery. In the beginning, it might make sense to focus on one or the other. So this is balance. I'm a balance trader. I only trade when we're in balance. Or I'm an imbalance trader. I only trade when we're out of balance in price discovery to one side. Okay. Eventually you can do both, but I think it pays in the beginning to focus on one. You could try both. It might slower your learning curve a little bit, but everybody's own decision here. So now, why are there two charts? Okay, so I have the weekly VWAP, the higher time frame, and the lower time frame with the session VWAP. I do not trade on the higher, even though there are some tempting setups. There has to be confluence. So this is a higher time frame lens. It's not for trade setups. I take this setup on the lower time frame, the 3-minute. Okay, so I'm taking trades off of lower value, VWAP, higher value for the most part. I'll also take trades off of initial balance high, initial balance low, and I also use a anchored VWAP for entries. We'll get into that a little later, but an anchored VWAP from a significant low or high can show us a nice entry, right? Long, okay? So it's still a VWAP, it's just a different anchoring point. This is anchored on the beginning of the week. This is an anchor on the beginning of the session. This is an anchor from the low, significant low on the session. All right, so these are all VWAPs, VWAP channels, and they're just provide different trade setups to trade against, and we're looking for confluence. Okay, so what is the confluence I'm looking for? The same principles I talked about. If we're in value area low, I'm expecting to go to VWAP. If we're past VWAP, I'm expecting to go to value area high. If we're above value area high, I'm expecting price discovery to the upside, no shorts, right? So here, you would see a setup on the weekly. We've broken into, actually the better trade setup would probably be up here. We broke value area high on the weekly and we're going south, right? Here we experienced a pullback to value area low. And also, this is the same area. So let's take a look at this. This is the confluence I'm talking about. So we broke into value area high. We retested it on the weekly. And then what do I say? When we accept pricing and value area high, we break in. I'm expecting we go to VWAP, right? So the setup, and we only take shorts, right? If we can't break into value, I'm expecting price discovery to the downside. So we go up. We don't quite even break into the value. We barely touch it. And we sell off. We reject value area high. And we move south on both charts. This is the confluence. Price discovery on the lower time frame, returning to point of control on the weekly time frame. Okay, I have a bunch of examples that I can go through here shortly. Here's one on gold. Okay. So here is the weekly 50-minute time frame. All right. Right here, we found support at value area low on the weekly, right? So what do we expect? We expect to go to point of control, right? I'm not taking this as the trade. I'm looking for the trade on the lower time frame. Where did we find support at the exact same time? On the session, we found support at VWAP, and then we expect to go north, good profit taking point or add, and then we got to look at all the upside potential we had on this trade on the higher time frame, right? So this was a beautiful trade that followed um, this process. We had confluence on the higher time frame, lower time frame. We had very similar levels. So there was a lot of conviction in this trade. Stop out would be if we started trading accepting prices in the lower area of value on the daily, and then also that would also be on the weekly. Now the reason we don't trade on the weekly is because these are large price movements. These candles look small, but each one is a lot of ticks, especially on gold. So we can chop around quite a bit, as you can see, at these value areas, you know. So we don't really want to take these kind of trades. Let's take the next one. Here's another one on gold. Okay, so on the weekly, we are well above value, right? So no shorts. This is the no short club. Looks like we have some support here, just in typical, support resistance levels. Can't get below this. So I'm looking for a break and possibly a retrace to the upside because there's no shorts. I'm only looking for longs. We are in balance. We regain balance. This is that lower range area. So we get back into value. We chop around here quite a bit before we get in. And then when we do get in, I'm expecting to go to VWAP. Now, I took the opposite trade on this. I was not following my rules. I took a short, expecting to bounce off of VWAP. We got a slight bounce, but what happened was we kept going because that's what this higher time frame is telling us. So I took a stop on this. I am not perfect, but it shows you when you follow the rules, you get rewarded. When you break the rules, you can get burnt. I show all my winners and losers in the Discord, even when I break my rules. Super important, and that's what gets me dialed in. Okay, here's another great trade. This is in natural gas. Okay, so we're in balance on the higher time frame. We're kind of chopping around between value area high and value area low. In the morning session, we find support at VWAP, and then we go north, right? So where am I looking at here? We're actually selling off all the way down to value area low. So VWAP and value area low are the same price area as VWAP on the higher time frame. So I'm looking long, right? So we got two nice long opportunities to take here. The first one did not quite reach VWAP. So, if you didn't take profits by then and you're waiting to go all the way to VWAP, you would have gotten all the way back to the price area. If you moved price to break even, you would have been scratched out. If you had to stop below, you would not have been stopped out. This was an opportunity to either re-enter or add to the position. And then we got all the way to VWAP, which would have been a nice scale out or close the position. And then we got all the way to value area high. So this is a coast to coast trade, right? Taking out the value area extreme, expecting we stay in balance. Now, those are just some basic tenets and principles to the trading strategy. I encourage you to look and explore these indicators, the VWAP channels. Let's go back to the anchor VWAP. This is just another area to provide trading levels. This is a significant low at 10:24 in the morning on oil. As we can see, we ran into value. This was a nice short-term trade here, but eventually, as the session went on, we had an opportunity to go long off this, point of control. You can see we re-enter value, we hold value, just like the session, just like the weekly. When you find a significant price point, these areas tend to be respected. And you can do this off of significant highs. All right, let's get away. Let's remove this one. So that was a good short level. And often it'll chop between two VWAPs at that point. So you can short up here looking for a profit target at the session VWAP. Confluence on this value area high that it could not break out of. It was holding value from the significant high, right? So anchor VWAPs are super important to be implementing. They give you extra levels to trade off, give you more opportunities, but you still want to find confluence on one of the time frames here. Okay. Now, as I'm charting and I'm looking for my entries here, I actually don't take my executions on TradingView, right? So, let's talk about this again. I'm scanning the markets. I'm looking at each, market up on my screens, waiting for something that's interesting, price to get to an interesting area. I'm jumping over to TradingView. Now I have this up and I'm watching it along with my execution screen. Now this is my execution screen. Okay, what is this? This is NinjaTrader. These are 3-minute candles, just high and lows, so you don't get the wicks. So this is the high. This is a 3-minute bar, high and low. But what's inside the 3-minute candle are 30-second candlesticks. So I could see at a quicker, even lower time frame, what's going on in these 3-minute candles. And this is where I like to take my executions. So if we go back to oil here, this 10:32 time, right around here. This is where we got into this choppy area. Let's see here. Right there. That's that choppy area. So you would have had a lot of difficulty just trying to go long on it. It's trying to break in. It's whipping around it. What I like to do is I like to get a nice gauge on the situation, right? So this allows me to see in a much more detailed fashion what's going on right here. Here's the same 3-minute candles you see here. So this is that big spike candle. This is the next red candle, these 2 green candles, these 3 red candles. So it's all the same exact, but a much more detailed, more myopic, so I could really see in detail what's going on at this level, which is this blue line here. This is value. This is outside of value area low, and you can see that price is, kind of respecting it, breaking through it, bouncing off of it, chopping, can't go higher, breaks lower, goes higher. So on a detailed level, I could get in the trade, somewhere along, it finding support here, and I can keep the stopped super tight, but generally I get stopped out a lot if I do that. So I need to kind of see what's the trading range it's establishing here, and I would probably more likely put a stop, um, underneath what's going on here and try and get into a good level here, anticipating we're going to keep going into value because we see more prices holding than rejecting, right? This is a type of strategy where you don't want to have too much leverage, because you can easily get stopped out on, 2 or 3 contracts for a big loss trying to get this trade. Taking one contract or several micros gives you a lot more room to, give it some wiggle room, while it's entering these areas and let your trade thesis pan out. Because, once you do, you have a lot of area to be right, so you're risking, maybe 10 cents on oil, for 30. So that's a good, 3-to-1 risk to reward level. Don't really want to be scalping just little ticks for this strategy because, these levels do not get played off to the tick always. Sometimes they do, but half the time they do not. And if you're trying to trade it to the tick with tight stops, you're going to be stopped out a lot. But if you can actually hold on the winners and be stopped out a couple of times on, say, one contract and hold on to the one that does work and let it fully work and reach a nice target area, you will be profitable. But if you're letting it work and, you only take 5 ticks of profit, on 2 contracts, but then it runs against you for 10 ticks, you're going to have quickly have a losing strategy. But, a lot of that takes feeling, learning the different instruments, their tick values, their volatility, their open session times, their initial balances, all these details. But I think that's just a really high level, explanation of what I'm doing. For the most part, I'm using VWAP, I'm using anchor VWAPs on the session, and then I'm using a weekly VWAP for confluence in a kind of a macro perspective, a higher time frame lens to filter out bad trades. And then I'm using these extreme levels of value, lower value, VWAP to trade against, along with initial balance high, initial balance low, opening price, things like that. So hopefully that is a good explanation, enough to get you started and understanding my trade thesis and things that are happening. I don't know what happened with the sound there, but I'm going to wrap it up here. If you guys have any questions, please hit me up in the questions below in the comments on YouTube. I'm always available in the Discord for questions. I'm around all the time. This is my full-time job. So, if you have any questions, I'm happy to help, happy to do explanations. If I get a bigger audience, I'll definitely start doing more videos, live sessions, things of that nature, more streaming in the morning. Currently just doing audio in the morning. But happy to add to that. So let me know what you think, any questions, and I wish you the best of luck, traders, and I will catch you in the Discord. See you later.